Now, don't get me wrong. I want you to listen to Extreme Talk, and I want you to enjoy the show. And I want to thank you for participating. I'm obviously not trying to push you away, but I'm going to talk about stuff. And I'm going to talk about issues that are going on. And I'm going to give my opinion about them. That's just what it is. They wanted to do the big boy things. They want to take over scheduling. But they don't want to do other big boy things. Like change the coin toss rule from last year. That's right. They still haven't changed that. And so a coin toss is still the third tiebreaker in a three-way tie, and it's ridiculous. Welcome in, everyone, to Extreme Talk. My name is James Shannon, and I'm very excited about this podcast. Thank you so much for listening and supporting us and for checking this out. This is going to be a place where you can get my unbridled, somewhat unfiltered opinion about what's happening in the league and what's happening in 8-man football. You can get my recaps on games, my thoughts on games, what's going on, a lot of in-depth stuff that maybe you won't get other places. That's what you're going to get right here. This is Extreme Talk. And if you don't want to hear from me and you don't want to listen to what I have to say, you can head over to Extreme Radio and check out Spencer and the guys, Isaiah, Austin. I think Trent's going to come back a little bit every now and then. And I'm only going to be on there 10 or 15 minutes every week. So you could just tune that 10 or 15 minutes out and then just turn it back on, and that way you could just listen to Spencer and the guys and never have to listen to me, if that's what you prefer. And I'm really excited about Spencer and the guys taking on. And Spencer, he was with us last year, and he did some stuff 2 years ago when he was the play-by-play guy for FCA, and he came up and did a Tennessee School for the Deaf game, and he's been a valuable part of 8-Man Extreme over the last year. And so now he's taking Extreme Radio over. He's also taking over our sponsorships and bringing in new sponsorships. And he's done a great job. Obviously, he has a brand new sponsor for Extreme Radio. It's Grace Point Healthcare. And so now they are doing that show live from Franklin. And so he's been able to take that over and really take off with it and do a great job. And I'm really excited to see what's going to come of it and what's going to become of the other guys who were on that show, and guys like Isaiah Austin, who's done the last two All-Star games with us as the color commentator, and now he's going to be on the radio show. He's going to be the color commentator for several of our games this year, and he's just going to be jumping in as much as he can, doing as much as he can, and I'm really, really thankful for him, and hopefully we'll get some more new people in that will help increase the coverage of 8-man football. And there's some games that, we might have to rotate color commentators and guests, and there's some shows we might have to rotate. And, if we do, it is what it is, and it'll be great. Maybe guys like guys like Cole Warren, who was the quarterback at Classical last year. I might have to step into a game or two every now and then. And so, we're just all going to pick it up and take off with it. And so I'm really excited about Spencer being the voice of 8-Man Extreme for the broadcasts. And he might not be there every single game, and somebody might have to step in for him. And so, like I said, it's going to be a rotating cast. Guys are going to take turns doing different things and get a lot of experience doing different things. Some other great things, if I could say that right, that we have coming up for 2018 is our helmet schedule that we did last year. We're having that made again this year, and it should be out. We're hoping to get it out before the Jamborees, and that way you guys can check that out. We might get it out before the first week of the season. We might not be able to get it out with the Jamborees. But you'll be able to see every week. You'll be able to see what games are going on across the league. and across the 8-man football, because Tennessee School for the Deaf is going to be on there. So 13 teams, you'll know every part of their record. You'll know who's playing who every week. And it's something really cool to have. It's something that's had never been done before last year. And that's what we're all about, is doing things that have never been done before. And speaking of things that have never been done before, Chad Withrow, this is going to be the third year. He's going to post our 8-man football preview. And like I said, we've done it for the last 2 years. We've written it. And so we're doing it again this year. We'll send it to Chad, and he will put it on his Tennessee High School football website. Hopefully we'll get that out before the Jamborees so that you can kind of look at it and follow along and see where each team is at, how each team is doing. And of course, we'll talk about the Jamboree a lot closer to time. That's the first Friday night and Saturday night of August is when CCS is doing that. They're doing the only Jamboree this year after Lighthouse had done it for several years. I think they're going to stop doing it, and I believe they're actually coming to the CCS Jamboree. So CCS becoming a hot spot and a hotbed for that preseason action and a chance for everyone to play everybody. Great field, great atmosphere, great setup. It's the perfect. I'm not biased. I'm not a homer. It's just a really good place to do that and to have those jamborees. Another thing that we're doing is we will have more T-shirts. We're having more T-shirts designed. Of course, we have our shirts right now that we'll be making available. They were available last year, and it's just our logo. It's the number 8, and it's red, white, and blue. It's got an X in the middle. It's for 8-Man Extreme. And so when someone sees you wearing the shirt, they ask you what it's all about, and you can tell them all about a media outlet that is trying to get these kids exposed and get them on the same level of coverage that all these 11-man players are at. And so we're excited about that. We'll have a shirt that says it's 8-man football time in Tennessee. We'll have a shirt that says 8 equals 11, and it's just kind of getting the message out there that 8-man football is equal to 11-man football in terms of the type of football and the players. The only difference is the number of players on the field. In my opinion, the quality doesn't go down. And in a lot of people's opinion. And speaking of other people having the opinion that I'm really hitting these segues. I'm hitting these segues great. I'm breaking the fourth wall there. And speaking of people that don't see 8-man football differently than 11, we got to talk about all the kids who are playing college football this upcoming season and that were seniors last year. It's fantastic. I mean, every year we have kids that go play college ball and guys that go sign with schools, and it's cool. It's cool to see that happen, and some kids don't stick. But some of the kids that have gone, it's crazy. Isaiah Webb from Christian Community School, he's walking on at Austin Peay State University. And I believe Xavier Vincent from South Haven Christian might do the same, and he might jump on there as well. Someone that we'll talk to a little bit later on in the show, Casey Jorgensen, former Franklin Christian Academy quarterback. He played 1 year at Taylor University and decided to come back and wait a few years. He's headed to Kentucky State, and he's going to play up there. And I don't remember what town that's in, but I'm really excited for him and having the chance to go play college ball. Jaden Frazier is another kid. He's coming from Franklin Classical School, and he signed with Carson Newman University. So a couple Franklin boys down over in East Tennessee representing Middle Tennessee 8-man football and Franklin 8-man football. So that's really cool. He's up there with Braden Holcomb from Franklin Christian Academy. And I'll tell you somebody else that I'm really, really excited about. He's a kid that I don't want to say – it was a really good example of a good player. I don't want to say on a bad team because, the kids were great and it was a startup. But he was – for lack of a better term, he was a great player on a bad team, and that's Ethan Garrison. He went to our All-Star game both years, really did fantastic throughout both games. And he actually he goes to a high school that does not have football, and he ended up signing a scholarship with Kentucky Christian University. So, a school that we're very familiar with. Jacob Courtwright from Hendersonville Christian had signed with them way back in the day. Of course, J.D. Young, who was with us 2 years ago, he had played for Kentucky Christian for a year. So, I'm trying to remember what they're called. I think they're the Knights. I don't remember what Kentucky Christian is called, but obviously they're okay with signing 8-man football players. They're cool with it, and that's really how it should be. And I'm really, really excited for Ethan. He's a great kid. He deserves it. He's I couldn't be happier. There's no one that deserves it more than him, and all the work that he has put in. I want to get you caught up on everything that's happened over the past off season. A lot of things that happened. A couple teams have left 8-man football. You had Hendersonville Christian Academy announcing that they will not have varsity football this upcoming year, and I don't know if they'll have it the year after. But I know they're wanting to start a middle school program, so I hope that gets up and running, and I hope they get firing on all cylinders again. We talked about Madisonville a second ago with Ethan Garrison. After 2 seasons, they've decided to shut down, and I really hate that, but I want to give a big thank you and a big congratulations to Coach Mike Jones, because he gave all those young men that were on those 2 teams the opportunity to play high school football, whether it be for 1 year or 2 years. He gave them that chance, and they would not have had the chance without him. And that's fantastic. I love it. And he was a sponsor of our show for 2 years. Kentucky RV Sales is what he owns up in Madisonville. Still go check them out, even though they're not a sponsor. I mean, they're still cool. It's so cool. I follow them on Facebook, and they're always having great deals. They've always got great packages and great RVs, and it's a fantastic place to get a chance to visit and to talk to Mike Jones. He's a great guy. So a big congratulations, big thank you to him. So those are the teams that have left. Now 2 teams have jumped back in, and it's crazy because one of these teams had not played 8-man football ever, and the other one was very familiar with 8-man football, and the MTAC. Sacred Heart of Jesus High School has decided to return to 8-man football and play in the MTAC. They've moved them to the MTAC North. And Sacred Heart of Jesus High School, like I said, they've been voted in, and I like the move. I like it a whole lot, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But the other school that got voted in and is playing 8-man football, they've been a member of the league for a couple of years, I think. But Lancaster Christian out of Smyrna, Tennessee, they have joined the conference. And like I said, they were part of the conference already. But they have decided to drop to 8-man football from 11-man, where they had played for forever, really. And so, I'm really, really excited to see them come into 8-man football and to, just jump on board. And I never thought they would come to 8-man. I thought they were always kind of set in 11-man. And that's the way their coaches had always made it sound. But low numbers, and a lot of schools are having this problem. Concord Christian in Knoxville is a school that should have tried to come to 8-man. They decided to just shut the football down for this year. Easel Harding Christian, their middle school, is playing an 8-man schedule. So a couple schools have checked it out, and one of them is trying it. But Lancaster doing something that St. Andrew Swanee and Riverside did a couple years ago and coming to 8-man football. And both of those schools have had success. Maybe not winning championships, but in terms of their programs have really grown. and that has been fantastic to see. So I love more teams joining the conference. Like I said, I hate to see Hendersonville and Madisonville go, but I love seeing new teams and new programs join 8-man football. Now, I want to address the elephant in the room, and it may just be me. And I don't really know how to start. I feel it's very important to discuss and to talk about something that has happened over this past off season. And this past February, my wife and I were in an argument, and it wasn't something we should have been arguing about, but it got to the point, and it never should have. It got to the point where I hit her. And the next morning, that was on a Saturday. The next morning, Sunday morning, I was picked up and taken to the Robertson County Jail. And I spent the next 10 days there, and it was a long 10 days. And it was a lot of time and an ample amount of time to think about my actions and to think about how I could have handled it better. I wasn't raised in a violent household. I wasn't raised in a bad environment. I was not put in a position to where I should have gone to jail. I was in church every time the doors were open. My mom was a piano player at the church. My dad was active. He'd been a deacon. He did media. I had no reason to go to jail except for myself and except for making a stupid decision. And after those 10 days, I ended up going to my court hearing where I was assigned to go to anger management classes. That was part of my deal was go to anger management classes and to continue marriage counseling, which my wife and I had been doing since October of last year when we'd separated for 3 or 4 months and we got back together in October. God brought us back together. And so we immediately entered marriage counseling. And I know a lot of people are going to say, well, that marriage counseling really didn't help because look at what happened. There's no excuse for what happened. But back in May, I went back to the judge, and that was the case. That was it. I finished my courses, my meetings, my classes. Had a great counselor, and really, really, really changed my thinking about how I handled things in life, and how I managed anger. Because I've always had a long fuse, but it's never been long enough. And so I got out on Tuesday, the next Tuesday after the Sunday morning. I got out late Tuesday night, and I felt the need to post a video on my social media accounts, because I wanted everyone to hear from my mouth what happened, and I wanted everyone to hear me say that I messed up. And I messed up hard. And anyone who at any point in time thought it was even a remotely good idea to look up to me or anything to that effect to what I did, it was a huge mistake. I'm still human. I'm still going to make mistakes. I do every day. And it's never going to stop. But we have a God who forgives us. And that's what I bank on every day, and that's what I put my hope and trust and faith in. And I want to ask for anyone's forgiveness who has not had the opportunity to do so. And if you choose not to, that's up to you. but all I can do is ask for forgiveness. I'm not going to say I'm sorry, I apologize. Those are cover-ups. I'm going to ask for your forgiveness for letting you down and for disappointing you. There's a lot of people I look up to, and I let a lot of people down. I know that, and I struggle with that every day. It's something that I brought upon myself, and I don't point any fingers at anyone. I don't pass blame on anyone. I did the crime, and I deserve to do the time, and still do time, and still not do time in jail, but do time still proving myself and still earning trust back with everyone. But 6 months later, my wife and I are doing great. We're done with our marriage counseling. We're just living our life and doing the best we can, and just being a good family and a good marriage, and one that's pleasing to God. And that's what we strive to do. Don't always get there. Don't always do it. But it's something we try to do and we want to do. And that's really all you can do. And the goal with 8-Man Extreme and myself and anyone who's ever been associated, Spencer, JD, anybody, it's never been to make 8-Man Extreme about our personal lives. Yes, we have personal lives, but it's never been about that. It's about those kids who play football. And I say kids, I mean young men. But the kids playing football, it's about the schools they play for. It's about the coaches that give their time. Some of them not even paid. They just give their time because it's what they want to do and they want to give back. It's about them, and I don't want to make this about me. But I did feel the need to address what happened and to talk about it. And I wanted people to hear from my mouth instead of hearsay. I know I've been quiet on an 8-Man Extreme side for a couple months, a few months rather, but this first show, I really wanted to get it out there, and I wanted to tell everyone what's going on. And if that makes you not want to listen to this, that's fine. I can handle that. I can understand that. But go listen to Extreme Radio. Go support Spencer and Isaiah. Go support those guys. Watch the game broadcasts. They're working hard. They're pouring a lot of time into it. Don't take it out on them because you don't approve of me. They don't deserve that. And I'm willing to talk to anybody about what happened and sit down and share heart to heart about what I learned. Because everything that happens, there's a reason it happens. Romans 8:28. All things work together for good. And there's a reason for it. And if I can help one kid who might go through this later in life or who's going through something now, if I can help one kid and someone can look at what I've done and learn from me, not make the same mistakes I made, not look how I took the hard path, but look at my decisions and learn from them and decide that, hey, I don't want to be like that. I want to be different. I want to end up better. I'm all about it. I'm not going to be mad because someone wants to turn out better than me. And I'm not going to be mad one bit. So I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to address it. And again, I hope that everyone will forgive me. And I look forward to having a great season. I look forward to taking my kids to games that I'm not broadcasting and spending time with my kids like I did last year. I look forward to taking my wife to games and showing off my good-looking honey. And I look forward to being a better man than I have been in the past. Because that's what I want to do, and that's all that I can really do. Now, we've had some coaching, changing the topic. We've had some coaching changes, one in specific, and then a big leadership change. Of course, David Forrest helped start the Webb School football program. He's a major part of it. He's been an assistant for several years after handing it off to Adam Feldbrugge. But come to find out, Coach Feldbrugge has left to start working with a nonprofit. And so they're promoting a guy who was an assistant last year. His name is Jeff Murphy. And he's a former quarterback from Middle Tennessee State. He's from California. And they're really, really excited about him. And I'm excited to see him too. I want to see if he can use the weapons and the talent that Webb has and develop it and continue the success that they've had there at the Webb School. The other move has to do with the MTAC president. Tim Pettit was reelected as the president this past offseason. And soon after, we found out that he was headed to Christian Community School. Now, he was the athletic director at Franklin Christian Academy, and he's from Bowling Green. And I know he's got some family issues going on, and so he decided, I guess, to go a little closer to home. Christian Community needed leadership. Their athletic director is leaving. They need some guidance. They need a solid, some solid guidance in that program. Jordan Flanders is fantastic, but he can only do so much. And so Tim Pettit headed to Christian Community, and I want to say he's either the principal or the head. I think he's the principal of Christian Community. And speaking of Christian Community, another coaching change that we forgot to mention, Daniel Meek. We talked about Hendersonville Christian leaving, or shutting football down, rather. He decided to head to Christian Community to be an assistant over there with Jordan Flanders and Tommy Thornton and all the guys that work to make that program do the things that it has done. And so I'm excited to see what Coach Meek can do over there. Of course, a head coach at the All-Star game this last year, and he's really, really he's done well. He's had a great 2 years at Hendersonville, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to do at Christian Community. I mentioned earlier, and this is maybe more of the hot take portion, I mentioned earlier about Sacred Heart coming back into the league. I like the move. I obviously don't agree with the board on a whole lot of things. Do not agree with them on a whole lot of things. And I'll hit on that in a second, but I like this move, the board letting Sacred Heart back into the conference. I'll tell you why. It's very simple. There is no reason to penalize kids who were not on that 2016 team that had to forfeit the championship. There's no reason to penalize them 2 years later. Absolutely not. You ask me, how would they be penalized? Well, here's how it would happen. You're going to have seniors on that team, okay? And they just want to play football. One more year. They just want to play football. And the MTAC board decides to not let them come back. And so they decide, well, we're going to play independent 8-man football. They've done it before, and it can be done. But let's say they got 15 kids to come out for the team. And so you got your football team. So now we're going to go to Mississippi, Arkansas, Alabama, Timbuktu, and we're going to try to piece together a 6 or 7 game schedule. So your kid's okay. We got 6 or 7 games. This is my last year. We're going to do it. We got it going. And all of a sudden, 1 or 2 teams drop from your schedule because no one held them accountable. Oh, sorry, we can't have football. There's nothing we can do about you losing the games. Sorry. Or, you go down to 9 kids. And so now you have to decide whether or not you're going to travel with 9 players or you're going to cancel the game. You cancel the game, you penalize those kids, whether we believe it or not. You penalize them because now they get a game taken away from them their senior year over something they had nothing to do with. So I really, really like this move by Sacred Heart, or by the board, to let Sacred Heart back in. Do I agree with the move to the north? No. I think that's kind of a questionable move. I hope the league looks at it this upcoming year and maybe moves Lancaster, who's in Smyrna, move them to the north because they're close to Nashville, move Sacred Heart to the south. I don't think that'll happen. Why? Because you have teams in the MTech South that complain about travel and don't want to drive to Jackson every other year, be forced to drive to Jackson every other year. If they choose to go, cool. If not, we don't want to go. So that's not going to happen. That's not. It's because all the power's in the South. But I think now it's a little more even. And I think that I hope that they move the Sacred Heart in Lancaster next year. I'm not holding my breath, though. I'm not holding my breath because the board, that's a common sense thing to me. But the league doesn't seem to do things that are common sense. I have a problem with the league and with I guess when I say the league, it's specifically the board and the people in charge, the big man. They want to do, the league wants to do big boy things. They want to do things like take over the scheduling, which is something else they did. They took over scheduling. And so now they can say, okay, well, you're going to play 2 or 3 teams from the other division and everyone in your division, and we're going to set up when the game's played, where the game is played. They wanted to do the big boy things. They want to take over scheduling. But they don't want to do other big boy things, like change the coin toss rule from last year. That's right. They still haven't changed that. And so a coin toss is still the third tiebreaker in a 3-way tie, and it's ridiculous. Therefore, if you have another 3-way tie this year, guess who it's going to be decided? Not on the field with the players. Not by the coaches. It's going to get decided by a piece of metal. Now, I understand the whole, well, if the players don't want to come down to a coin toss, you need to beat teams and you need to win and you need to put yourself in a position where you're not at the mercy of a coin toss. Get that. I get that, okay? That is the most valid argument in this whole thing. It really is. I'm a proponent of having a tiebreaker for a 3-way tie, having the tiebreaker be on the field. I'll tell you why. I'm a proponent of it being a points allowed tiebreaker. And you say, well, how is that? How aren't teams going to run up the score on other teams? You can't change my mind on this. Here's my thinking for this. This is why I believe this way. You have a 3-way tie for first. Ain't nobody shutting the other team out or running up the score on anybody. Look at, if anything, it's going to be an 18-12 or an 18-14, or it's going to be a shootout. And I'll tell you, and again, whatever. If you have to have the coin toss there, that's fine. Move it down to 5 or 6. Your 5th or 6th option. I'll prove to you, using last year's 3-way tie, that using points allowed, teams are not going to coach differently. Things aren't going to change. For instance, Webb FCA. What was the difference in the score? 3 points. Webb Swanee. What was the difference in the game? Swanee won by 14. Franklin Christian Swanee. Difference in the game? Franklin Christian won by 17. So you got a 1-score game, a 2-score game, and a 3-score game. And that's what your 3-way tie revolved around. And if you take that thinking, boy, that changes the playoffs last year. It really does. It rearranges it a little bit. But I don't understand the whole, the bylaws, they were written at a time where you didn't have to worry about three top teams in the South and the North. You only had Aaron Academy, Franklin Classical, maybe CCS at the top of the league. There weren't North and South. So the times have changed. You have to adapt. And Lord help us if there's a four-way tie. Guess how it's going to be broken? Another coin toss. I don't agree with it one bit. I'm not a league official. I can't change the rules. All I can do is sit back and speculate and give my opinion. I told you this is extreme talk. I'm going to talk about things and give my opinion about them. And if you don't like them, you don't have to listen. You can listen to Extreme Radio. I'll only be on for 10 to 15 minutes every week on that show. So you could tune out for 15 minutes, not have to hear my voice, not listen to Extreme Talk. Now, don't get me wrong. I want you to listen to Extreme Talk. And I want you to enjoy the show. And I want to thank you for participating. I'm obviously not trying to push you away. But I'm going to talk about stuff. And I'm going to talk about issues that are going on. And I'm going to give my opinion about them. That's just what it is. I'll tell you something else that bugs me. And it's the league only having a 14 playoff. A 14 playoff. Out of 12 teams they have in the league this year, you're only taking the top third. That's crazy. Crazy. As my daughter would say about that song, Call Me Maybe. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, it's insane. It really is. You look at any other league. Now, granted, the NFL only takes the top 12 out of 32, so that's kind of the top third. I guess you can make the argument for football. Everyone's going to say, well, the college football playoffs only 4 teams. Well, that's ridiculous. It ought to be an 18 playoff. But anyways, the league needs to be a 16 playoff. I'll tell you why it's not a 16 playoff. You want to know why? Because of basketball. And if you extend the postseason one more week, you're going to have basketball coaches start griping and complaining. I want my players. Give me my players. And everyone's so ready to be done with football. They're not thinking about the kids who aren't going to play basketball. And this is their only season of football. It bugs the living jeepers out of me. I'm cool with basketball. I like watching basketball. I say I like playing basketball. I don't really play basketball. I mess around on basketball. But don't be robbing kids of potential games that they could play. Play as much football as you can. High school football, it's one of the most pure things out there. Play as much of it as you can. And again, basketball coaches start complaining that they want their players. And it kills me when them and other people, you don't put kids first. You don't put the kids that are playing first. And it becomes an adult game. And when the adults start running the game, something's wrong. And that's just a fact. It's ridiculous. And when it gets to that point, it makes it to where kids don't want to play football because it's an adult game. It's not fun anymore. It's not the mature version of what we used to play in the backyard. There's now politics all over it. And it's ridiculous. And there's my hot take. I hope you enjoyed it.
All right, everyone. At this time, I want to welcome my special guests. They are both former FCA quarterbacks. I'm talking about Casey Jorgensen, who played his senior year in 2014, and Alex Deits, who played his senior year in 2015. And Alex, I think I got your last name right.
Correct. It is Deits. Yes.
I didn't get it for about 3 years, so I think after 3 years I finally got it. So talk about you guys' friendship a little bit, how it started, and how you guys use that on the football field, and then also how did that play in, and how did you guys balance that with interacting with your teammates?
Well, so in the summer of 2011, I moved down from Wisconsin, and from there, I was at the FCA picnic, and this is my eighth grade year. Going into my eighth grade year, I didn't really know anyone there. There were a couple kids outside throwing football at Jim Warren Park, and I remember one of my buddies telling me, like, you should go out for football. And then I was talking to Casey, and he's like, hey man, like you should really come out and play. It'd be awesome. And like the rest is history. From there, our friendship started. We went to camp, which our FCA camp that we do every year, and so it just kind of blossomed from there. And then, it's been awesome 7 years, and so from there, how we bonded and how that's played as a role in football. I think we had like a real good connection on the field, and just team chemistry. And like I think we kind of like led the team together, and I think we definitely fed off each other. And so when one of us were down, like we were able to pick each other up. And so for that, just being able to help each other out and lead, I think our teammates like looked up to us and believed in us. And so I think us believing in each other was real big. Otherwise, I don't think we do a lot of what we've done, or we don't accomplish what we've accomplished without like this friendship. So I gotta be thankful for that.
I definitely agree with everything Alex just said. He said it very well. I mean, playing football is already a lot of fun, but it gets a lot. There's nothing better than playing it with your best friend and playing it, with your brother. It makes everything a lot more sweeter when you have success. It makes the rough times a lot better. But yeah, no, it's been a fun friendship. It's been a crazy friendship, and it's a friendship that'll last for forever. So, it's been awesome.
So, talk about you guys during your playing career. What was one of the toughest teams that you guys played, either whether just being a game or just someone over the course of your career that really just gave you guys a hard time and you just either couldn't figure out or finally did, or someone that you guys just really enjoyed playing?
Um, well, I say we came to FCA the same year. He was in eighth grade. I was a freshman. But my freshman and sophomore year, his eighth and ninth grade year, as we were kind of getting the program off the ground and getting all that stuff going, I'd say Webb at the time was probably our toughest opponent that we played. I mean, they were very heavily loaded, like with seniors and very talented, very deep. Um, so during those 2 years, I would say that was the toughest team we played. Um, Going forward, the next 2 years, we played the Memphis Nighthawks a couple times. They were a pretty good opponent. We had some great battles with Riverside, and then CCS, like my senior year, um, was definitely some good games because we played them twice, and we got behind both games, and it was just fortunate to come out with the wins, but they were some very good games.
Yeah, and I'd like to echo that. As well as my senior year, I know we beat CCS in the championship game, but really well coached team. A lot of guys play hard, and we played them twice that year. And so, it's great competition. And I think we both pushed each other. And so I think CCS definitely one of those teams that FCA and Casey and I experienced like some really good games, and then we've lost some tough games against them. But it's been a great battle.
Yeah, those 3 games in 2014 and 15. I think you guys played them in 15 too. So you played 4 games in 2 years, and it was just back and forth. I mean, those are really great ball games. I was just getting into broadcasting and doing media, so those are really cool games to cover. But talk about going from where you guys started, because obviously FCA had never really been on top or had a winning record, especially when you guys got in there. And just going from where you guys started to how each of you finished. Of course, Casey playing for a championship, you didn't get to win it. Alex, you won the title. And is there anything that you would change or do different from your high school career?
I don't think there's anything that I'd change. but I think definitely you can't substitute work. So, I mean, when we started, we won one game my freshman year, I think one game my sophomore year. Those first 2 years, we improved every game. We improved year to year. But those first 2 seasons were not fun. I mean, we probably both weighed in at like 130 pounds, being like 13 and 14, and just getting our brains bashed in, you know, in the beginning. But I wouldn't change. I wouldn't trade that for the world because we became closer as our family, as a team. We went through those hard times, which made having success a lot easier. It made it like we had to earn it, which it made it a lot sweeter. So
Well, and so from my personal experience, before FCA, like I'd never played football. I played football 1 year in fourth grade, and so obviously it's not super serious. And so coming back to the sport, I was like, it was new for me. I had to put a ton of work in, and definitely, those first 2 years were really tough. Like my eighth grade year, like midway through, like I got thrown in to play starting safety because I was the only guy like not afraid to tackle, and so like being 100 pounds and getting run over, like that can like ruin a person's like thoughts about the game. But Casey and I just feel like we pursued sport and persevered. And then I think having Braden come in too, he's definitely part of like our core. And he was young too, but I mean he balled out for us, and he was super big, and especially defensively. He added some of that toughness and grit that maybe Casey and I didn't have at that point, just because we were more offensive minded guys. But so really like a tribute to him. Want to shout him out. And from there, then after those first 2 years, things got better. We were able to get some new guys, get some talent around us, and it was fun. We went from like being a 2-win team to Casey's junior year, my sophomore year, we won I think 8 games, and then the next year we won like 13, 12 or 13, and so just like that progression, like to like look back and be like, yeah, like all that work, we improved every year, and so like you can't like be disappointed, have any regrets. Obviously, going back to back would have been nice, especially when we won with KC. And so, I mean, that was a really hard loss. And I thought we played really well that game. Braden got hurt with a concussion, and I think defensively that hurt us. And so that just is a tribute, like, to him, like how important he was for us defensively. And so, but it is what it is. You can't change the past, and we've learned. And I think those experiences have molded us.
Yeah, and it's been great. Like you guys mentioned, seeing guys like Braden, of course, go play at Carson Newman.
Yeah.
Seeing guys like Brandon and Andrew, I know, who came a little bit after you guys. Guys like Zane, who kind of came in after you guys. It's been great seeing them come up after y'all and kind of continue FCA, because now since 2014, really, FCA is kind of always in the mix for the postseason. So, who is someone that you guys have enjoyed watching since you graduated, or a player? It's two parts. A player that you guys have enjoyed watching, or multiple players since you graduated, and then a player that you enjoyed watching, or that you kind of looked up to while you were playing, or someone that you always looked forward to playing, whether it be just the way they were on the field, or because you knew them personally.
Well, as far as FCA goes, I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed watching. Obviously, I enjoyed watching Deits play the year after I graduated. That was sweet to see him like take over and play quarterback and just lead the team, and just ball out and do what he does. And Braden as well. Last year particularly was fun to watch. Andrew Shindell play, and those guys Zane and Graham Harrison and those guys just go in and get it, because they put in the work, and so it was fun to see them just go enjoy themselves on the field. As far as someone I look forward to playing, I don't my oh man, I always look forward to playing Riverside. They're really fun just because there's some deep seated rivalry there that we kind of, at the end of the day, we love each other, but then on the field, in between the lines of anything, we don't like each other, type of thing. So that always was really fun. You can get up for that game really easily. Yeah.
So as for me, I really enjoyed obviously playing with KC, I looked up to him, a grade above me, and then so from there, like I literally had to look up to. Like, he's taller, and so just like growing up, like through football, watching him play offensively, even though like I was like with him like on the field, that's like it's inspirational. And then I remember my eighth grade year. One guy that I really like enjoyed watching while I was playing with him was Michael Brooks. He's super fast, athletic guy. Could do so much with his feet, and he originally started playing quarterback, and then Casey took over, and he went to receiver, and like he balled out and never complained. Always worked really hard, and so it was just like I was like a young guy to like see some guys like that like play hard and work hard. It's just like it makes you want to be better, and then guys I look forward to playing against. Probably a Lighthouse. I think we had a lot of good battles with them. Like to talk to a lot of those guys on the field, and not like we trash talk some, but like at the end of the day, like we're bros, and so it was fun playing them. And so we have some good relationships off the field, and then I guess, and this is kind of away, a couple guys from football, but and like in basketball too from FCS, some kids I knew, and so just like being able to like compete with them, the best friends and stuff. But I mean, obviously, you want to beat your friends like when you're out on the field, and so we took that grit to the field, and thankfully, like we were able to come out on top most games. So just real thankful.
And it's funny that you mentioned Lighthouse because I have to ask you guys about this. That was actually one of the first games I ever broadcasted that year. I hadn't done any, and then Travis Creasy from Riverside had asked me if I wanted to do some kind of audio broadcasting. So that was one of the first games I did, and of course, a classic match, a great game. It kind of upped the bar for championship games, I think, for the next few years. But at the end of that at the end of that championship, and we talked to Hugh Harris before. He's kind of given us the story and what happened. But with you guys on the field, start from where I hate to say you guys knew you were going to lose because you never want to think that you're going to lose. But at the same time, where you kind of started accepting it, and how well did you guys take it? What happened with Coach Robinson there at the very end? Because a couple players got ejected. They actually ended up calling the game before it was over. Just it was kind of a messy situation. So what happened with that from you guys' side of the story?
Well, so for me, pardon. So for me, I was on the field during that little mental collapse. And as a player, like that was very disappointing for me, and like who I am as a person, and like a leader. I was definitely disappointed in our team, and a couple guys on how they handled that situation. Obviously, like we were competing to the end, but obviously once they're taking it, like they're kneeling, like we've lost, and so like it's like tough to swallow. But I think some guys just let it get in their head and mishandled it, and for that, like I was pretty ashamed. Like that's just like not who we are, and so I know those guys felt bad, and we apologized and we made up for it. But at the end of the day, still like we screwed up, and so I don't want to say like we knew we were gonna lose because like that's just a terrible mindset to have. But like obviously, as the game's ending and this clock's like about to hit zero, like there's no need to go after a couple guys. And so I think guys just kind of lost their cool, and they acknowledge that, and so that's the most important thing. And they I think apologize for their actions. And so, and then Casey can give you more about Coach Robinson.
Oh, well, I think as a team we were just emotionally drained that season. We had gone through a lot as a team, and yeah, and so I think we just that emotions just came to a point, and I mean we probably not acted in the most mature way, but we learned from it. We had the opportunity. I don't know if Mr. Harris has told you, but we had the opportunity to go up to Lighthouse and just hang out with those guys. I think we got pizza and we hung out, and I got up and I spoke for our team and just we apologized for how we conducted ourselves, and by no means that's how we would like to be known and how we should represent ourselves. So yeah, but that was a great moment all around. Apology out the window. I mean, we just got to spend time with those guys after that game, and it was fun to see people with the helmets off and just talk and chat. And I think that was a big thing for our schools. We've been close ever since. So
So you bring up the whole point about getting to see guys without their helmets on and outside the field. And I want you to know one of the biggest regrets that I have is that me and JD and the guys that we weren't able to start the All Star game sooner because we started in 2016, 1 year right after you graduated, Alex, two
Yes,
after
sir.
UKC. And man, I really wish there's so many guys that I wish we could have seen on the field in an All Star situation. Guys like I don't know if y'all remember a guy named Josh Bates, played for the Heat.
Yeah.
Josh Brooks played for Riverside.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
guys like that. Cole Chrisman from CCS, or just really good guys that I wish we could see all on the field at one time. But it's been really great, and obviously. The first year we were able to have Elijah come up. He had a great year, and so we had him come up and play quarterback for the first game. But
Yeah.
Alex, this question's for you. That your senior year, of course, you played wide receiver and kind of had that athlete tag put on you because you could do everything. Um, that senior year, you decided to switch to, or did you decide to switch to quarterback, or was that kind of a coaching move to move you to quarterback?
I feel like it was kind of like a mutual decision between the two. After Casey graduated, we basically had no one there, and so we had to try to fill the void as best we could. And I think just the coaches and thought like I would be our best option, and I felt comfortable enough that I thought I could lead um, behind the center, and so I think I trusted myself and my abilities, and so from there I think we just took it and ran with it, and obviously we were able to get a championship, and so I felt like that was the right decision. But I think for me, just understanding like I needed to become like a better leader and a new player at the quarterback position if I wanted to give our team a chance. Because I think that's where it does start, and I think guys were looking up on our team like, what are we going to do at quarterback? And so for them to have a familiar face back there and not have someone new, I think also was like a little bit calming. And so I think our team handled it well, and a lot of guys supported me throughout the year, even when I made mistakes. And so I was very thankful for that. And obviously, we were able to get a championship off of it. So can't really complain.
No, not really. And you know, you guys went from Coach Robinson 2014, Coach Pettit in 2015, and you only got to have him there as head coach for 2 years. But and Alex, mainly you, because you went through this change. Talk about the change going from Coach Robinson to Coach Pettit, and just uh, did the culture kind of change, or was it just the move? Because obviously, you guys, even through a tough game with CCS for the championship, I feel like there was really on both sides, there was a little more poise, especially on the field. There was a little more poise than there was maybe in the 2014 game or in games before that where you guys had come really close.
Well, so in the 2014 game, I don't think maybe you're not aware of this, is that Coach Robinson wasn't there anymore. And like midway through the season, our head coach was no longer with us. And so I think as a team, like
I
that hurt
didn't
us
know
just
that. I wasn't
because,
aware of that.
yes, sir. And so we kind of, Coach Jock, as you know, him and another gentleman, Ben Pugh, Coach Pugh, they had to lead it. And so I think for a little while we were just kind of like struggling to find out like who we were as a team. And so through that change, I think it was hard on all of us. And not that there's any excuse, like at the end of the day, like the players on the field playing the game. But I think obviously when you lose your coach midway through the season, I think that's a hump that's super hard to get over. And I think we got over it by getting to the championship game, but we just weren't able to get that last win. And so, but from playing under him for 4 years and then playing with Coach Pettit, I feel like Coach Robinson did a lot for me in my development as a player, definitely as a receiver and stuff, and taking me in. And so I really gotta give him a lot of thanks. And I enjoyed playing under him a lot, and I was really close with his family. And so, um, nothing against Coach Pettit. I didn't know Coach Pettit as well, but Coach Pettit, to his credit, came in with a positive attitude, even though I think he probably knew, like, because I will be honest, like at first we were a little skeptical, just because my senior year we knew brand new coach, who was also our brand new AD, so we didn't know really like what we are gonna expect. But he came in there and he worked as hard, and I think like X's and O's, like I'd probably give it to Coach Drew. I think he just knew a little more about the game, but I think Coach Pettit definitely put his heart in it, and he was a great coach because he worked well with we have Coach Steven Adams and Shaka, and they were all able to blend really well. And I mean, he's a championship head coach. Like he won a championship, so like no one can take that away from him. And so I thought he did a great job coming in there and managing some egos. And so like I got to give him a lot of respect and props, and like I'm thankful like he was there. So, but I mean, it's two different coaches, two different styles. So I can't really like say who's better, who's not coached.
I got you. I got you. Now, you guys mentioned Shaka, and obviously everybody knows about Shaka. Just fantastic dude, fantastic coach.
Yeah.
Just the dedication he has. Most people don't know. Most people think the coaches that coach live right up the street, but Shaka, I don't know. I know Shaka lives in Hendersonville and drives to Franklin to coach
Correct.
for the team. And talk about how much Shaka means to you guys, because I know that you guys are really, really close to him, even now, years after you've played.
For me personally, there's not, I mean, besides Deits and my immediate family, there's not someone who has had more of an impact on my life than that guy. Still getting ready for this upcoming season and everything, and that dude. One thing you want to talk about, our culture changing. When we started to win some football games and a lot of stuff, Shaka showed up.
Definitely.
And so that's a big up. You talk about somebody who just his dedication and his love for people is something that I aspire to live throughout my life every day. He just comes in and he works his butt off, and he works your butt off, and at the end of the day, he loves you, and I know that he would do anything for me. And I mean, it's not even a coach-player relationship anymore. I mean, that guy's my family, and we're gonna be, there's just nothing else to say. He's my family, and I would do anything for him, and I'm sure Deitz echoes the same. And we know that Shaka would do anything for us. Our relationship goes very deep for me personally.
Definitely, yes.
We spend hours. I probably talk to him on the phone every other day. Late at night, just chopping it up, trying to talk through things in our life. It goes way beyond football, and I'll never be able to thank him for his impact in my life.
Likewise, I think he's meant like a tremendous amount to me, and like who he's helped me become, and like just these past like 6 years getting to know him personally, and him coaching us on the field and off the field, like we'll like forever be in his debt. I think just because like he's the man he is and who he's helped us become. So like forever thankful for him, and we love him, and we would do anything for him. So shout out to Shaka.
And not to mention, he could go coach anywhere he wanted to. Like his knowledge of as defense, position wise of defensive end, everything that he does, he could go coach at the collegiate level. But he has a love for FCA, and he has a love for the people there, and you can't substitute that. So,
do you guys think that that's why for the last probably since 20, like I said, 20,
they wanted to do the big boy things. They want to take over scheduling, but they don't want to do other big boy things, like change the coin toss rule from last year. That's right. They still haven't changed that. And so a coin toss is still the third tiebreaker in a three-way tie, and it's ridiculous.
2013, 2014, FCA, they had you guys on offense, and they had guys like Schindel and Hayden Weeks, different guys on offense. But primarily on defense, I mean, you guys have had, even going back, people that, people don't remember J.P. Smith, guys like that, and then seeing Zane and Graham, Brandon Miner, almost setting the sack record a couple of years ago. How big has he played into that defense? Just really, a lot of the time, keeping you guys in ball games.
Well, it was huge. I mean, I can remember my freshman, like our sophomore year particularly, we really started clicking on offense. I mean, we'd put up a lot of points, but still not be able to stop anybody. And I mean, our conference is kind of like the Big 12. I mean, no defense, just run and shoot, fast-paced offense, lots of scoring. So for him to come in and figure out ways to, shut people down and have success on defense was huge for us. I mean, if you have a successful defense, it takes a burden off the offense. And for him to pour into people like JP and Brandon Miner, and I mean, the way his pass rush is, his teaching of the pass rush is very tough to beat. So,
yeah, definitely. And so for us, I think also aside from X's and O's and him knowing what to do, personally, he motivated all of us. My freshman year, I did not want to play defense. I hated. I think I had maybe 20 tackles. Yeah. And my sophomore year, I'm second on the team with 100 tackles behind JP Smith. And it's just that's a credit to Shock and him motivating me and giving me the will basically to go out there and want to perform on both sides and give it my all. And so, and I know when I can speak for, a couple of guys on defense like Brandon Miner, and that Shaka, without Shaka, the motivation, it's just, it's not as great. He pushed us to be as best as we could. And so, that's just, credit to him and to our defense. You could tell our defense was one of the worst, and then it went to one of the best, in the MTAC, and that's because of Shaka. And so, we're thankful for him, and but he made that defense up to what it is. And guys like Graham that have been consistent throughout their whole time at FCA, that have worked, like Zane too. I know he was in there for a short while, but him and Graham put so much work in with Shaka, and that's just another testament to Shaka, I think. And I want to give Graham a lot of props too. He came in 1 year after Casey and I did, and he's been working so hard, and he was kind of under the radar for most of the time, but I just think he deserves quite a lot of praise, especially being young, coming in and playing starting center through varsity ball. And, there were a lot of tough games, but he never complained. He always worked. And so I think, Shaka just pushed us to be so great mentally and physically on the field. And so that's how our defense got to where it was.
Yeah, and we really felt his senior year that he kind of showed out, and then that's part of the reason he came to the All-Star game. That we invited him.
Definitely well deserved.
People complain, believe it or not, about having two FCA linemen, and all we could say was, look at the numbers, look what they've done, look at how long he's been there. He's been there 5 years, and he's never, he just keeps going. But is there now? I do have to ask, was there any team that you guys feel that Shaka, even now, that Shaka has their number and that he has figured out, or that on a consistent basis he can pick up real quick what they're doing and sniff it out?
Every team. No, I mean, there's not a particular team, but Shaka, he just, I mean, it just depends on the defense that we have. I think, over the years, we've probably been a better interior defense. If you want to run it up the middle on us, we can stop that a lot better. I know when I was playing more so, I mean, when Deits and I were playing in the corner and stuff, we could probably, that was decent. But, I mean, it just varies team to team. I think Shaka does a good job regardless.
So Casey, how did it come about? We talked about it a little bit. How did it come about that I know you went and played college ball after your senior year for a year, but how did it come about that you're going to go play at Kentucky State this year?
Well, my freshman year, I went to Taylor University, so 2 years ago, and I did that. It just didn't work out, for some personal reasons and some stuff, and so I came back home. I spent this last year coaching at FCA, doing all that, just while looking for some place to play. Fortunately, I had some time on my side. I was younger. I graduated high school a lot younger. Um, and it just so happened that this summer, as I was, just trying to find a place to play ball, or throughout, I guess, more of the winter, um, just talking to schools, they, saw some of my film from like some scrimmages at Taylor. They watched my high school film, and I've talked to their coaches, and they just felt like they had a spot for me, and I'm very thankful for that because it's tough for someone who set out a year of football. It might be considered taking a risk, and so that's just yeah.
Now, Alex, you didn't go play college ball, but who were some of the colleges that came up after you? And Casey, who were some of the ones that were talking to you?
So for me, I had sent my film out to a few schools, and after FCA for football, I think a lot of stuff was just going around in my head, some personal issues, and so I don't think, like, honestly, I didn't pursue football as hard as maybe I should have. I know Tusculum was like my biggest offer. Basically, they were offering me some money in their Division 2, and so I was excited, but I didn't know. I kind of, after a little while, like, the love of the game for me was kind of dissipating a little. I think there had been some situations, and so, and on top of that, I had some back injuries during my high school years, and I think that played a role too. Just knowing, like, the where it can bring on my body, and so, because my sophomore year I had two stress fractures and bulging discs, and those are still there. And obviously, football is a physically demanding sport in high school, and at the college level, it's even greater. And so I had to think, personally, like, what's best for me. And I thought about it and prayed a lot. And I think just moving on from it was super hard, and I definitely missed the game. But for me, that was probably my best option. And I'll let KC go ahead because obviously he's on a different path.
Um, Coming out of high school, I honestly I don't remember that much, but there was a few schools that were interested in me. A lot of the Division 3 schools around here, uh, said I could come play there. I was hope, but they can't offer athletic scholarship money. So I was I was looking for someplace bigger, and I had some interest from like probably the biggest school that I talked to consistently was probably like Furman, and then DePaul University, I think is what it is. It's like in Des Moines. I don't know. No, Drake University. That's what it is. My fault. And those two schools we talked about. I ended up deciding on Taylor. Um, but I mean, there was a decent amount of interest um, coming out of high school, but it was good.
Alex, you mentioned the injuries that you got from football and your back injuries. And Casey, I don't know, I'm sure you've got some bumps and bruises. I've got a concussion symptoms that I deal with every now and then. I got a concussion my very last game of my senior year. But are you guys, everyone wants to know, everyone's asking at every level of football, NFL, college, junior pro, high school, whatever. Um, are you guys going to let your kids play football?
For me, if my son would like to play football, like, I'm gonna give him that opportunity. Um, if he encounters, some really bad injuries, and that I could think be like threatening to, like, as he grows up in his, like, development as a human being, then I think I would pull him. But I think injuries are a part of the game, and that's something you have to work through. As I've done it myself, and I would never want to, shut down a door for someone, especially me being my son, that, this could be a great opportunity, and I don't want to close that. And so I would always be open to allowing my kids to play football, no matter what level that may be.
My kid can definitely play football if he wants to play. I think football. I mean, I look at my own life. Beyond just playing, in between the lines and everything, what football has meant to my life. You know, getting close to people like Alex and Shaka and all that. And, and everybody that I've encountered and the experiences that I've had. I couldn't replace what football has meant to me. So if my son wants to, if I have a son, then definitely he's more than welcome to play football. I'll support him 100%.
So a little bit lighter question, kind of in-depth questions there, but a little bit lighter question, kind of to kind of wrap this to a close. So take away the 2015 championship that you won, Alex, and you
Yes, sir.
both played in the 2014, and really this is for both of you. You played in the 2014 game that we've talked about, but you also played in the 2013. At the time, it was called Division Two. Now it's just the MTAC. What's the MTAC Bowl, pretty much? But you guys played in a MTAC Bowl game against Riverside Christian, and just a fantastic ball game, and it ended on the last play, and just a great play from Riverside. And I want to know, would you guys prefer the kind of loss that you had at Lighthouse where it kind of got away from you there at the end, as opposed to, you guys have a lead and all you have to do is stop them from one more play, and all of a sudden they get past you and it's all over?
Personally, I prefer neither. I would personally, I don't want to take a loss. Personally, I think there's, both are heartbreaking if you really think about it. I mean, Riverside, you can never have that mindset, but we made a play like on fourth down. I threw a touchdown pass to Aaron Tone really late in the game, and I thought, we just got to get a stop, and we have it locked up, and it got away from us. And then Lighthouse, kind of slipped away at the end. But both of those are some tough losses. I don't know if I can pick which one I rather have, because I wouldn't want either.
I think,
No, I understand.
yeah, and definitely what Casey said. You can't choose, and obviously, like, I think it's a greater accomplishment, excuse me, for us to get to that championship game in the 2014-2015 season. And so, yeah, we lose, but the year before, we're in a bowl game, and then the next year I think we have the same heartbreaking loss, but what we accomplished was pretty incredible, and getting to that championship game despite what we had going off the field. And so, you can't really take away from FCA and what we did. And so, losing sucks in all aspects in any sport, but I don't think you can ever determine which loss was worse. I think if you're a true competitor, I think every loss kind of eats at you, and some will probably eat a little more, but that's just part of the game.
I understand. Okay. Favorite place for you guys to play a game other than Jim Warren Park?
Ooh, go ahead.
I think I really enjoyed Kringram's Field. I've had some fun games on there.
Yeah.
And it's a nice field. And then we played Lighthouse Casey's junior year, my sophomore year. And we tore it up offensively. And, that was one of my best games, I think. Some good memories out there. And so just being able to compete against, it's not really a place like the field itself. It's more like the teams we play against that give us the best competition and force us to work the hardest and really earn wins. And so whether that be we're playing on a dirt field, or an NFL field, if they're competing, that's really what I'm looking for. And so I know a couple times just MTAC's a little smaller, don't have some schools don't have the funding like a BA, but we'll play on certain fields like some parks and stuff. But at the end of the day, we're out there to compete, and we just need the lines of the field and 2 goalposts, and that's it. So
I echo everything Deits just said, but personally, I really enjoy going down and playing in Riverside. I had a lot of fun playing those games. I personally had some good success there. I also agree with Deits, that Lighthouse game. That was the only game we played besides the Jamboree. We played at Lighthouse, and that atmosphere was really fun. A random one that I really enjoyed that had a good atmosphere. We went my senior year. Grace Christian. My senior year and my junior year, before they moved up in classifications and all that. Those were always some good games because they were right down the street from us, and we knew a lot of those people on those teams, and it was a lot of fun. Those going in their place my senior year and playing them on their homecoming was very, very sweet for us.
definitely.
How bad was that? Because I've been there several times. How bad was that Benton Hall field?
Well, so we
Tell me one of y'all. Tell me at least one of y'all wiped out on the gravel in the corner of the end zone or went over the side of the hill on y'all sideline?
So I was able to play in some JV games. Casey didn't, so thankfully, he didn't have the opportunity to get hurt. But we practiced, it was obviously a little dangerous. But I think, there was a couple times you hit some pretty hard spots out there. I can remember my freshman year, I caught a pass, like a 2-point conversion, and I was already 3 steps in, and then I got decleated, and they threw a flag, but like hitting that ground was rock solid. And I felt that one, and I was like, man, gotta love this field.
Yeah, that field has some scarred memories for me. We practiced there every day, but I just picture we used to do these horseshoe workouts running around the field, and we did those on that field every day. And every time I drive by that field, I just picture myself like running those workouts, and it's not fun, but it was worth it at the time.
I don't remember if you guys went on any road trips, but are you a fan of like for the road trips, or would you rather go right down the road and play a game?
I think both are different. My senior year, we went and played the first 2 games we played. We went to Kentucky, and then we went to Alabama. The game in Alabama was a lot of fun. The game in Kentucky was fun as well. There's something about going to a place that you're not used to, and coming in and setting the tone. But then for us, FCS was real close, and Grace was real close, and so crosstown rivalries. FCS and us, we played like 1 minute from each other. So having big crowds and at the local games and kind of the heated rivalry is something to behold too.
Yeah, definitely. I personally remember my senior year. I think our junior year we handled them pretty well, but my senior year they kind of rebounded a little bit, and that was a great game against FCS at FCS. There's some high tensions at that game, and so it was just a great atmosphere. And then, like Casey said, going on road trips. Unfortunately, the first 2 games, and so I wasn't able to play in Alabama or Western Kentucky, and it was really disappointing not being able to play in the Alabama game, because just it was a great atmosphere, and it was one of our first games of the year, and but I was happy to support our guys, and they played their hearts out, and they got that W. So at the end of the day, that's what matters. So I think, and it depends. Riding on the bus, with getting to hang out with some of our brothers, always some fun experiences on that. And so the longer the trip, the more time you have to spend with them. But obviously, there's like no replacing a rivalry that's like right down the road. So each has like their own special resource to them.
Bigger rivalry, classical or CCS?
I gotta go with CCS.
I think FCS maybe a few before our time. I don't know the exact history, but just Mr. Harris coming from FCS, there's a lot of history there. But as far as like better games, and for me personally, CCS.
Yeah, definitely.
You mentioned going to Kentucky your senior year, and you guys went up to play that Western Kentucky Warriors team. You guys, when you played teams like that, I know as an athlete you don't want to have the mindset going to a game with the mindset that you're going to win because you want to compete. But especially once it gets to a certain point in the game where you're going to win, did you guys how did you guys handle it? Did you guys feel bad because when I played, we played several teams that we just beat the living daylights out of. I mean, we went to, you guys know who McLean Christian is. We went to McLean Christian and shut them out on their homecoming. I mean, we whooped up on some teams, and so I don't know how did you guys handle when you were beating a team that you knew really wasn't on your level? How did you guys handle those games?
Personally, I respect everyone, but fear no one is kind of what Coach Robinson said that to us, and I really ran with that. So I know for me personally, I didn't take an opponent lightly, and if the game happened to go in our favor and we got out to a big lead, I did not throttle down or anything. And I know as a team we didn't throttle down, and I know that may upset some people at times. But personally, I don't really feel bad. I just know, we knew one thing, and we're going to give everything we got. We've had our fair share when we were younger of getting our brains beat in and getting beat by,
40, 50, 60 points.
And so it was our opportunity that we had worked and we had gone through that. We gladly return the favor. And not with bad sportsmanship, not with anything. If you couldn't stop us, we're gonna keep scoring.
Yeah, and to echo what he said, from being in that situation, losing, like, I would never want a team to like take it easy on us, even if they're down by like 40 or 50. Like, as a competitor, like, I'm out here to win and like give my best. And if I'm getting beat by 40, I'm still going as hard as I can. And if I'm up by 40, I'm still going as hard as I can. And like for me, like, do I feel bad? Like, no, unless someone gets hurt. But at the end of the day, like, you have a team that you wanted to put on the field to come out and play today against us, and we're gonna play them as hard as we can. Like, if you don't want to get beat by 60, then you need to change your game plan, and you need to work harder. Something's got to change. But I don't feel like complaining or feeling sorry for yourself is like the right thing, just because, like, as a competitor and athlete, I think that's just kind of phoning it in. Personally, I know that's a hot take, and some people might not like that, but at
Hey,
the end of the day, we're competing.
if you guys didn't know, this is Extreme Talk, and it's a new podcast that I'm doing this year. And
Yes,
pretty
sir.
much what the show is, it's just me giving hot takes and me shooting. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term shooting, but me shooting on different issues and topics and stuff. So that's I mean, you if you want to come on board and do it with me, that's cool. We'll just hot take together.
I got you.
All right. Last question. You guys play basketball, and you guys were, you're obviously very excited to excited to get into the season. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, but you guys, you guys lost the championship in 2014, 2015. You guys won it, Alex.
Yes, sir.
What are you guys' feelings on postseason tournaments? Like, you had the NACA back then. Now the big one is the NHSA tournament down in Panama City, Florida, where you play teams from California, Alabama, just all over the place, and you get a chance to kind of play other good 8-man teams. What are you guys' takes on postseason tournaments? Do you guys have wished that you could have gone to one, or were you happy that you guys went straight into basketball?
Personally, I mean, I'm always playing more football.
Very true.
So if we had the opportunity to go play, I know, like, my senior year, we played 15 games or something. We played like 14.
An NFL schedule right there.
Yeah, and with no bye week type of thing. And I think my junior year we played like 12 or 13. So we played a lot of ball. So we got our fix. But I would always be down to play more football. Basketball season, it'll come when it comes. And fortunately for basketball season, you want to get wins. But sometimes it takes a little bit, to get into the groove of everything. Football every week's important. If you lose week 1, you can ruin your playoff chances right there. For basketball, you can afford to drop a couple even though you don't want to. So, for me, I'm always down to play more football. As long as, safety's watched out for and you get enough rest and recovery in between, I think more football is better.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's good to branch out as well. So there's like an aspect being able to like go see other places and to help yourself, like, schools become more well known. I think it's good for competition. Allows you to see like what other states and other football besides Tennessee has to offer. And like Kissy said, like, I'd always be down to go play more football. I think it's a good opportunity for kids to get more playing time in. I think high school football is like one of the greatest things ever, and so, like, me personally, like, I want to, like, and for other people, like, I think you try to play as much as you can, because some people will continue after high school and some people don't, and some people want to and some people try and they can't, and others don't want to and then they don't. And so it's just, but they love playing high school ball. And like, I mean I think guys have been interviewed about this before, like, what is your most favorite cherished football like times, and like so many guys go back to their high school football days just because of, it's a camaraderie, and being able to go out week after week after week and play with your brothers, win or loss. I don't think there's like anything greater than that. And so, I mean, I'm always up for more football, and even if it's just like like 7-on-7 tournaments, we're running routes, like, aside from like not even playing. I think just being able to like get out there and compete and just be athletic, like there's nothing greater. So
Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all doing this. Almost an hour, but enjoyed watching y'all play. Other than watching Alex beat my alma mater from right there in the press box. No, I'm just kidding. But for real though, thank y'all so much for doing this. Casey, I know you got stuff going on. Alex, I know Spencer's talked to you. If you
Yes,
ever
sir.
want to get into broadcasting, you know where to go.
Yes,
You know
sir.
he's here.
Yeah, I know it's
So.
open. Thank you.
All right. Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all doing this. And Casey, good luck next this upcoming season up in Kentucky State. We'll keep an eye on you.
And we appreciate you having us on. We appreciate it. It was good, fun talk. It's another story in the book.
Yeah, man. Thank you. I thank you for what you guys do. Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you taking the time to pursue us to get this set up, and so yeah, thank you.
One thing I think, what he said, I think y'all doing this and creating your pod on like make the 8-man football a bigger brand. I think is huge because I think a lot of coaches out in college will kind of dismiss, some players and athletes because they play an 8-man. But I think a couple years ago there's a couple guys that were Division I prospects that play for Iowa that played like an 8-man football, and so like just because we're missing like 3 down linemen, it doesn't mean like or 2 down linemen. Pardon me. It's just like we still compete
Yeah,
too.
I was
We're still
about to
athletes.
say I was about to say I don't know what system you're playing in.
My bad. Numbers, man.
Hey, you mentioned the guys that went and played for Iowa. I don't know if you guys saw the Leighton Vander Esch went and played at Boise State and then got drafted number 19 by the Cowboys, and he played 8-man in Idaho, out in the middle of nowhere. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll open the doors up a little bit.
Yeah,
and obviously a big part of it is kids that play 8-man. Even if you're the superstar on your team, if you can do it, don't feel like you should get everything handed to you. Go ahead and walk on to the team, and don't be scared to walk on and pay your dues.
Yeah, definitely not. I think people got to take a little more pride. I remember for my first like couple years playing 8-man, I was like, man, I play 8-man, But like, as you like grow up and like develop, like, we're still competing at like a super high level, and we may not play like a bunch of D1 guys, but like, Casey and I are great athletes, and I think we're above average, and so like, I think him and I deserve to be noticed as well, Braden, and other guys like Shindell and other guys in the MTAC, and so like it doesn't matter like where you come from, schools will find you, and branding 8-man extreme like I think is an important thing, and I think that helps out with a lot of kids, whether you see it right now or in the future. So just thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is for like anybody listening. I mean, all it takes is like one coach to notice you. It just takes one person to notice you, and you can have that shot. And so, if you guys are providing a way to get noticed, that's awesome. So, thank you guys.
I appreciate it, guys. Y'all take it easy. Y'all behave yourselves, and we'll catch up with you at some point this year.
All right, sounds good.
Appreciate you.
Take care.
I had a great time talking to Casey and Alex, and I apologize for that audio quality. Still working out kinks with doing interviews and getting them recorded, but I had a blast, and I hope y'all enjoyed that interview. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and for listening to me ramble about things that I have a problem with. And I hope that you guys will come back again and do the same thing. Thank y'all for listening. This is James Shannon. See ya!